Hi, this is Matt with Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star OS Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 72. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Just look for News Recap 121. So just go over a couple quick things, a summary of what I'll be going over today. First, the DAO for Star Atlas did launch this past week. There were some roadmap updates. There was another Atlas brew, and then I'll finish up with, actually turns out the bulk of the content, again, my kind of state of Star Atlas and my journey playing Star Atlas. But before I get to that, I just want to mention two of my Star Atlas projects. One is my merch store at intergalacticgear.com. It is open for business. I do have a few Star Atlas branded mugs that you can purchase, different styles of mugs, so please check those out. Also, I still do have my merch survey there, so I'm slowly building out different items that match, well, one of the images that are available to us, but also just sort of building up to that. So again, please check that out at intergalacticgear.com. And also someday, hopefully, I'll be wanting to start my own community. It's called Intergalactic Coalition. It's also sort of a non-guild guild, but leaning more toward just being a community of Star Atlas gamers who don't want to join a guild, but nevertheless want to hang out with different Star Atlas community members. So please go to intergalacticcoalition.com and fill out that interest survey. So as I kind of mentioned, some of the content to go over. Last week they did launch the DAO. It did come out on Monday. There was a Atlas Brew-like event. I don't know what we call these things because it's the first, so form announcement. Anyways, it was a live session. So that was recorded thanks to Star Atlas TV. So again, if you go to my website, Intergalactic Herald, look for News Recap number 121, you'll be able to find a link to that. So that came out. They also published a very long Medium article, so you can check that out. Again, I have the link there. So if you're interested in the DAO and kind of how the launch and the initial proposals and voting and kind of the context, you can check them out on that. So again, there was a lot of content. To me, again, I'm glad that this DAO is part of the Star Atlas metaverse, but at this point to me, I'm feeling personally just kind of wait and see how it works out. Only because, again, lots of things are like, hey, something came out, and again, not to keep reiterating, but it's sort of what I do. The DAC, the guild platform, came out last year, couple of weeks, and then we haven't heard or seen any talk about it nor improvements. So it sounds like the DAO will be a little different than that because there's proposals and there's council they're trying to do and voting. So, and there's a timeline for those that stretches all the way out, I think, almost to September or maybe even October now. So there's some things coming. So again, this may not be a direct comparison, but again, I'm just there. And to me, the political aspect, I don't know, in real life, kind of burned out on politics since we're in the United States in our every 4-year presidential major election cycle. And yeah, again, it's hard to be, let's vote for a council. And again, but I think more to the point is, again, and I've said this many times, I just want to play video games. So politics, I mean, I don't mind it. It might exist and it might have some, well, anyways, I'll get into that later when I talk about some other stuff. So also on Tuesday, the roadmap, I forget what the link to that was updated. Partly I didn't see the link. Again, sometimes these things show up on Twitter, or maybe it was on the announcements in the Discord. But as much as the new style of how they present the items on the roadmap is great, trying to go through and remember what was, which I don't remember because it was many months ago, and now it's different, kind of whatever. They did mention they will talk about in the next Atlas Brew, so maybe that'll be a chance to actually hear, because again, just looking at it, it's hard to know what had changed. And again, it's just a project plan. They updated it, but again, didn't mean results. They're just kind of moving things around in position, which is all great, and things that came out of the town hall. So it was a great outcome of the town hall, but again, until we see something, it's just a project plan. The Atlas Brew did occur. They mainly chatted about the DAO. So again, nothing much to report there because I listened to it, but again, it was hard to get much engagement because it was just chat, which is fine. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. Again, not exactly a waiting week, but nothing that was kind of that engaging to me, but it might be to you. So please check those things out. So kind of my ongoing 2 segments. The first one is just kind of the state of Star Atlas as of now. Town Hall, definitely it's in the past. Looking forward to hopefully hearing more about the exact roadmap, but again, wasn't really useful before because it's just a thing. There were lots of discussion in the DAO, so I do hold some slight polis. I used to stake more, but then I unstaked it, or once it ran out because there wasn't a DAO. So why keep putting it in there when I might change my mind, want to sell it? Anyways, I understand the idea of locking Polis, but again, locking it when there wasn't a DAO didn't make much sense, even though there was a little bit you could earn, but wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot for the Polis I own. So, but one thing that the discussion, which I skimmed, but I think it maybe came up, I can't remember. But anyways, it was brought up again that really it was in the Atlas Brew. The only thing they're actually allowing at this point related to DAO is proposals about the current treasury. So they won't allow anything about gameplay. Yeah, and again, some of the comments at the Atlas Brew were like, oh, that's, that idea doesn't make sense. I'm like, well, but they're just ideas. Isn't that what we're supposed to present? So again, I think we're in the really early phase. It's some people have ideas what they want to do. Other people have completely opposite ideas what they want to do. And yeah, we'll see. But I think the real key to me was none of this relates to gameplay. When you go back to the grand vision, the idea of governance and things like that, these would be things that would involve in-game action. So, if there were taxation rates or political things. So again, I know the DAO exists as the outside decentralized exchange, but it sure felt like it was going to have impacts within the game. Well, again, it's there. So I guess at the end of the day, it seems like this is all about just blockchain decisions. Again, not exactly, but I mean, there's no interaction with gameplay. There's no Polis, nothing here. Well, they said it. Nothing can affect anything except the use of the treasury, which is great. But again, it's almost, there's too many options without any guidance, but yet they're trying to get guidance by like a council and people putting proposals. But then everybody's like, well, that proposal doesn't make sense. Well, but it's a proposal. I mean, I think, again, it needs to be, well, part of it might be, again, that there was supposed to be something called a constitution, which, again, if I'm thinking of the United States Constitution, I mean, it lays a framework for, like, how the executive branch works and the legislative branch and the judicial branch. But there's nothing. There's just a proposal that we're going to have proposals. And then there's a proposal that we're going to vote for a council. And then there's something else. So, again, if all the goal is to do something with the treasury, I guess that's fine. But what do you want done with the treasury? I mean, again, okay, there's money there. Well, one person wants to give it all back to everyone else. That's as fair a proposal as anything. Again, you can't open it up to people's ideas and then say, well, but we won't allow a lot of ideas. So anyways, but again, I think it'll still be interesting to see what the next week brings after it's been out. I think some of the votes will come due and we'll see. But at the end of the day, none of this relates to gameplay. So it's really hard to, for me anyways, to get that excited and having debates with people about something that truly Star Atlas is still controlling all the parameters. So whatever. That's it. That's the only thing that came out. So it's the only thing I had anything to update on kind of there. But on my journey of playing Star Atlas, I did do some calculations finally. So I mentioned one of my current goal is within Starbase. I'm just doing the kind of mining, scanning, moving cycle. I'm not working on or doing anything related to upgrading or upkeeping the Starbases to get LP. I guess it's just not interesting. I mean, I could probably spend 30 minutes figuring out if I put in this much fuel for my claim stakes, I get this much LP, and then I guess the LP is a little bit better now, but I don't know. Maybe once all the things, I don't know. Again, just wasn't, I don't know, not a game. But anyway, so I came up again, if you haven't listened to the last few podcasts, the idea that I was going to go and mine every one of the raw materials, at least the ones that I can't get through the claim stakes or became claim stakes. So, for example, I'm not going to mine biomass to craft to make food because I get food from my claim. So I looked at all the raw materials that didn't directly become the resources that are the claim stakes provide. So I've been slowly going through those. I think there was 8, maybe 10 that I picked. Anyway, so I finally got in a routine enough where I could do some calculations. So what I did is I went ahead, again, I'm using the mud faction. I went to mine copper ore, which is like one Starbase or, not too far away from the Central Space Station. So the way I completed my fleets, because I don't think I've ever mentioned that before. So I have some air bikes, 10 of them each. So 2 scanning fleets that are out scanning for SDUs. Then I have a mining fleet, which is just a couple extra small ships. Can't remember exactly which ones are in there. Oh, wait. No, sorry. That's all my ships. So all the things that are left over became the mining fleet. And then for the movement fleet, I had, I think, Alobi and the Max Hawk, because apparently they had the biggest storage of the ships I own. And again, I'm only using at this point the extra smalls and extra small, extra small, whatever the bottom one is. My two, or let's see, I think I have 3 small ships and 1 medium ship. Yeah, they're still in Faction fleet because they're getting Atlas, and I don't care how fast I go moving things around. So anyways, what I did is I started out with a certain amount of fuel, food, and ammo, put that into the Central Space Station. Then I put in 0.1 Sol. So that was kind of where I started. I am using the Sly Assistant to do the movements and the mining and the scanning. And so basically the move fleet takes those food, fuel, and ammo from the Central Space Station, moves it to the Sparta base, and brings back the thing I'm mining, in this case copper ore, and the SDUs. And I think I may have mentioned the last one that, so part of it is, I move too much resources and then you don't need them, but I don't know, again, I guess you could do all the math, but part of the problem is that, network goes down, Solana has an issue, something doesn't work, and then you got to restart Sly Assistant, and then it goes. So again, it's not like it's foolproof, no input, at least for me anyways, no input of time and monitoring if something's working. And again, some of it could just be I run out of some resource, and so I got to wait for the other ship. But anyways, so in the end, what I figured out when I brought everything back to Central Space Station, I calculated how much I put in and how much was rev. So there was then a way to do a spreadsheet calculation to determine what the inputs were. So how much stuff was completely used and disappeared. So, and again, the goal and the result was 1 million or more, whatever, when I stopped, of mining copper, and then how many SDUs just happened. So here's the result. So the inputs I had to put in to get at least 1 million, or actually I guess I have it. I can start that way. Sorry. So the amount of copper ore I got back was 39,496. So 1,040,000, just to round up. And I got 3,280 SDUs. So that took 104,000 and change ammo, around 204,000 food, and 800,000 fuel, and 0.928 Sol. So basically, to get that million copper ore and 3,000 plus SDUs took all of those resources. Now, in my mind, those resources I'm getting through my claim stake, so that's to me a wash. There was no cost. I didn't have to actually purchase something because otherwise they were sitting around. Oh, I also did not calculate my time in this, but in this scenario with using Sly Assistant, my time was, set it up, get it running, every time it breaks, and then I think it ran for 2 or 3 or 4 days. And I definitely was inefficient, so I'm sure, maybe not on ammo or food because I could bring those back. Definitely on fuel, probably wasn't the best usage of fuel because, taking too much and then you got to bring it all back and things like that. So what was interesting though was, so I then went ahead and took all that information and calculated its cost in Atlas, because for the resources, they're only on the marketplace in Atlas. But then I took Atlas and converted it to USDC. And the reason I did that is just to put it into, basically hard currency. Now, I will admit one big caveat, the prices could change on Atlas and Sol since I wrote this down. So these are a moment in time, not the same thing. So what was interesting, the input cost, so to put in the ammo and the Sol, was a total of $15.70. Now, interestingly, the resources to do that were only $2.37. So again, even though I got them for free from my claim stakes at the time on the marketplace, going from Atlas to USDC, that's what they would cost. The Solana fees, on the other hand, were $13.32. So, wow. I mean, that is a big deal. Now, was it, well, okay, well, I'll hold on that. I guess I'll give the analysis a second. Now, for what I earned, which was the copper ore and the SDUs, I only earned $1.03. So the SDUs would be able to be sold for 84 cents. But the copper ore, a million copper ore, was 19 cents. So all of that time, all of those inputs, all of the Solana transaction fees, yes, I guess I got the SDUs too, but was 19 cents. So again, my resources are coming from the claim stakes, so they didn't do anything else, but definitely still not profitable. Solana fees are crazy and doesn't make any economic sense based on the Fleets app. Now, again, I know there's probably different ships that have better benefits, whatever, mining, transportation, warping, all that kind of stuff. Sure, I get it. But I don't have those ships. So yeah, I guess if I really was trying to maximize this, I could find the best ship for mining, the best ship for movement, the best ship for scanning, all those stuff. Or just don't scan. Well, I guess scanning made more money. But there is no way you're going to reach, because the SOL fees are fixed. So again, they cost me $13.32 for, again, forgetting the resource I put in it, for basically $1.03 back. So, I mean, come on, this doesn't make any sense. Not to mention just the scale. I mean, I put $13 in, I got $1 out. Now, did I have fun for my $13 or $12? No, of course I didn't have fun. I mean, I was checking my computer to make sure it was there. I mean, again, I guess just because I did it, it's fun. And I accomplished my goal, which was getting a million thing, but I could have bought that million thing for 19 cents and not spent anything nor the time. So yeah. Now here's an interesting thought problem. Let's say Solana was free, which it isn't. Then, I mean, you put in $2.37 of resources and you got back out $1. Okay, still, that's not worth it, but I didn't pay for those resources, right? My claim stakes made them out of thin air. So in that sense, I think you could say it's profitable because you took something you'd already purchased, a claim stake, you got resources from it, and they weren't doing anything. Now, I know you could sell those resources in the marketplace and all that, but again, you can look at this from so many different ways. My goal was to get some copper ore. So yeah, I bet you it would have been cheaper to take the resources from the claim stakes, sell them in the marketplace, take that money and buy copper ore, and I probably would have got more copper ore out of it. So fair enough. But that's not a game. That's arbitrage. I don't know what that is, but that's not a video game, in my opinion. So after looking at this, I guess I have to be realistic. Is it worth spending? Because SOL costs money. And again, you could even say there's a missed opportunity. If SOL goes up in price, well, those fees became more valuable later. So they definitely weren't $1 valuable. So I spent money that if I just held SOL and it goes up, there. So I think I'm going to go ahead and keep doing this. In fact, by this point, I've already mined one or two more things, only because my goal was stockpiling the resources. Now, if I do the calculation, I probably could figure out at the end how much SOL I spent. Because again, I'm not too caring that I spent ammo, food, and fuel, because otherwise those are just growing from my thing. But the SOL fees are definitely inputs. So I think I'll continue, only because I guess by this point I think let's just pretend there's 8 resources I put in, or raw materials I put in. I think I've already got 4. In fact, I think I'm on the 5th one, and the 6th one I think is at the same star base, so I really don't have to change anything on my configuration. I just have to put more resources in. So partly I think I'm not going to keep calculating. I think I'll do one more calculation. I think I recorded the next one for nitrogen, so I'll do one more calculation on that and see if it's similar. But yeah, I mean, from an economic standpoint, this doesn't make any sense. From a engaging gameplay, nah, because there's nothing unique here. So, but again, I think I'm going to go ahead and just stick with it because I set that goal. And again, I'll have 1 million. And I will admit, it was kind of cool to have the resources because I took those and a few other things, did a little crafting, and got the Super Phoenix DAO's poster. Now, again, I could have bought all the resources just off the marketplace and crafted it with, then it would be what the poster cost. But I guess I only had to sell. But again, I didn't spend any money. I took some Atlas and bought whatever resource I didn't have or didn't. Anyways, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I'm sure you can do some calculations to figure out how to make money. But again, it's going to be, to me, predicated on the optimizing all the inputs. But there still is the sole fee. And as Mid mentioned, that this is where the downside is. It just doesn't make sense for small fleets to do anything because, I mean, I spent $13 to earn $1.03. Again, doesn't make sense. Now, if there was gameplay, yeah, sure. Now, maybe I wouldn't want to spend $13 a week or in 2 days. But again, people are buying gems and other things from mobile games without any thought of how much that costs. So, you could say that. So anyway, so that's where I'm at. Again, I'm going to continue moving ahead with the raw resources just to complete my goal, which was, let's just say there's 8 of them, to get all 8 of them at 1 million. And then, yeah, I'm definitely throwing in the towel on Starbased because there's nothing here. I don't know. Maybe I'll play one upkeep loop just to see if I put, I don't know, some number of food or toolkit. I guess toolkits. I might do something with toolkits because I forget what toolkits are for. Upgrading. Oh, yeah. It's upgrading Starbase. So I'd actually have to move the toolkits to a different Starbase. That might be worth it. So maybe I'm just going through. Maybe I'll put, I don't know, 100,000 food in the central space station, and that'll be part of that upkeep. See how much LP and then how much Atlas I get for it. And then maybe I could take my move fleet and move it out to one of the star bases that's being upgraded with toolkits, I think. I don't know. I can look into it. But anyways, the idea of moving from the central space station to a star base, put it into the upgrade, see what LP gets back. I mean, might be a fun experiment just to see. But definitely, based on this information, I would be hard-pressed to imagine that those are going to be quote-unquote profitable. So it might be just interesting to try it and see what happens and report back to you guys. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I'll just turn off Starbase and there's nothing there to do. So anyways, wrapping it up on that kind of both, here's what I'm doing, but I'm not sure why I'm really doing it thing. Thanks for listening. Again, just wanted to mention if anybody's interested in joining me as a podcast guest, definitely open that idea. We can either talk about Star Atlas, we can review the week past. If you have a project or content creator and you want to promote your stuff, we'd love to give you an interview. Definitely if you're a Star Atlas team member and you're interested in talking, would love to continue my kind of what I'll call a beginner series of beginning parts of Star Atlas. So nothing about current stuff, nothing contentious, or I guess what do they call it, spicy, but just things that I could, I guess in my marketing world, they're called evergreen topics, beginning of economy or beginning of game design or beginning of whatever, I love to go back to the white papers and have someone kind of give some insights and answer some questions. But anyways, reach out, intergalacticherald.com, go to the contact page. Again, if you're interested in some Star Atlas themed mugs, I do have some on my merch store, Intergalactic Gear. You can go to intergalacticgear.com, take a look at those. Shipping only in the United States, but definitely eventually we'll try to open that up once I have the time to learn about taxes and things like that for other countries, since it barely figured out taxes for the United States. But there's also a merch survey there, so I'd love to get any feedback from you for other items that you may be interested in. I'm just creating some more of the, straightforward mugs. To me seemed very straightforward. Shirts, you got fabric quality, sizing, things like that. I mean, mug's a mug. And then lastly, if you are interested in hanging out with other Star Atlas gamers and myself, definitely am wanting to start my own community called Intergalactic Coalition. The idea would be using a different community platform that allows for, to me, some of the downsides of Discord, like there's no threaded discussions, there's no way to get email alerts, so you miss something you didn't even know it existed. This is much more of a threaded discussion platform. You can follow or subscribe to discussion topics you're interested in and get email alerts or get notifications on the app it has. But it is a paid platform, so the participation would be a paid fee. So depending on the number of people, depends on kind of how the fee structure would be. But anyways, if you go to intergalacticcoalition.com, I do have an interest survey there. Please fill that out. And if we get enough interest, definitely we'll show that there's some interest and start building the community. So other than that, that was the week in review for Star Atlas. Hope you have a great week ahead. This is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald.